Welcome everyone to the press conference of the Embassy of God. This is happening during the time of a celebration because we're going to have our anniversary soon. It is our 15th anniversary of our church existing in Ukraine, and we are so happy to be here, and we would like you also to join in on our celebration so that you can see how much we praise the Lord. But a shadow was cast on our celebration of it, because even though we are a church that is not indifferent to the fate of Ukraine, to the fate of our fellow citizens, and we want to change something and bring something good to our society. And we have upwards of 700 churches here in Ukraine and all over the world. We have upwards of 5,000 drug addicts that are no longer drug addicts. We are able to rescue them for drug addiction. You can ask them yourself. They're alive. They're happy. They're leading successful lives. We also take care of orphans. We take care of the elderly. So we are not the enemies of the state. We are those who worry about our fellow citizens and our society. However, and the spiritual leadership that is found in the Embassy of God and our common goals is what unites us with all of the churches around the world. And I want to say, regarding the accusations leveled against Pastor Sunday, that every one of them are fake, and that as a spiritual authority, I want to say that we know Pastor Sunday over 15 years, and that this is an honest person, that he is a person that always looks to other people's interests first, and that all the things that have been said about him are nothing but deceit. All right, so could the rest of the people on the Council of the Embassy of God speak, please? For example, Tatiana Maximenko, one of the members of the Council of the Church. Hello, I want to say that Pastor Sunday is a person that I have known for over 10 years. Any accusations that have been leveled against him are completely and totally false. I know this person. He is a true Ukrainian because he has taught us, he has taught me to love my nation. Before I came to the church, I never looked at the people who are my neighbors, who live next to me, with such love and tenderness. Pastor Sunday has taught us how to live and has changed us completely. Before, I never could have been a mother, but now I am, because I'm not the same way I was before. Thanks to Pastor Sunday, our worldview has changed. This is more than a church, and it's definitely not a sect, because a sect is a closed group, and it's a limited amount of people. But it's 25,000 people, a limited amount of people? No, of course not. These are people influencing the world. Happy mothers, happy children, happy youths. Everything that we hear about Pastor Sunday, it's a lot of it is just lies spread on the internet, lies spread in the press. And I want to say that we, who are his friends, who have been helped for him, will not give up and continue to protect him. Now, can I introduce the person who needs no introducing? That is Sunday Adelaja, the head pastor of the Embassy of God Church. Hello, dear colleagues, my dear journalist colleagues. It's an honor to be able to address you today. Unfortunately, as has been said, a shadow was cast upon our celebration of our 15th anniversary of existing in Ukraine. And that shadow has taken the form of all of these court proceedings and criminal criminal accusations that have organized around our church. That is why today I'm here with my lawyer, Andrei Fedur, and he can speak with more details on the current situation, more technically and more expertly. Mr. Fedur? Hello. It's the first time that I've been invited to take part in a press conference that has no direct correlation with law and order, or at least not in the way that most Ukrainians understand it. To be sure, our society is based on the idea of a social contract. That is how any state comes to being. And if we think about the rights of each person, not only to have freedom of speech, not only to have freedom of belief and religion, but also as a society where people have the right to defend their own interests, then unfortunately this press meeting becomes something completely to do with the rights of a person. Let me tell you that the accusations that have been leveled against Pastor Sunday, they are completely and totally absurd, because there are officials who are in the positions of leadership in the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Let me tell you that, from my point of view, I do not think that these are substantial accusations. I have no doubts about the fact, as a lawyer, that all of these accusations will be disproved, and that the criminal case opened because of these accusations will never end with a guilty verdict. Why? That is because there is no legal grounds for such a verdict. There's a question I have. Why do people organize criminal cases like this? Because nobody has even looked through the evidence. Nobody has looked through the accusations that they're even leveling against Pastor Sunday. And even though there has been no investigation, every single journalist, every single site, every single TV channel will not stop repeating Pastor Sunday's name and repeating it in the context of this is a criminal, this is a person who is being taken to court. However, what's interesting is that when a person of political office or who works with the judiciary branch of the government accuses a person of a crime in the mass media publicly, without the court coming to a decision, they are actually violating the existing law of Ukraine, which guarantees that no official and anybody involved with the government can condemn and publicly accuse a person of committing a crime until the court has come to the conclusion that he has committed that crime. That is the 296th article of the Civil Codex of Ukraine. So why are the officials doing it anyway? Well, because, let me tell you one thing, and it might seem like I'm bragging, but usually when people come to me with some request to help them with a criminal case that has been opened against them, I have a principle for whether I will take on their case or not. If before the court has even started looking through the case, if before the case has even gone to the court, there are some politicians, there's some politicians and some mass media already trumpeting the idea that the person is a criminal from all the rooftops. If that is the case, every time I have taken on a case like that, it has ended in nothing. No guilty verdict, not even any apologies from the politicians, just nothing. Because when you hear about a case, not from the indictment or verdict of the court, but from the headlines on the internet and on the lines of mass media, then that is somebody trying to tarnish somebody's reputation, and they never end in a conviction. And unfortunately, when this happened, it doesn't end in a conviction for anyone. Not even the slanderers and politicians that were accusing a person and dragging him through the mud before it was actually revealed that that person himself did nothing wrong, suddenly become quiet about it and do not speak of it anymore. Not even to apologize. Anything you'd like to say as well, Pastor Sander? I want to declare once more, my church and my parish is the one that has suffered because of the scheme of King's Capital. My parishioners lost money. I think that in a country that has standards, we would work together in order to return the money to those who have suffered. Why is it the other way around in Ukraine? Despite the fact that I have no relation whatsoever to the founding, to the oversight, to the undertakings of this company, I am being taken to court, and I am unable to return the money of my parishioners who have suffered to them. Yes, I know one person who founded the company. He went to my church. However, that does not make me the founder, and I am not doing this just to protect myself. I'm doing this so that I can protect my parishioners, so I can return the things that they love, the things that they lost. However, what is going on now is the height of absurdity. I want to tell you that I've never stolen anything in my life. And why should I steal when I am capable of working? Why should I steal when I have already created the largest evangelical organization in Europe? Why should I steal when more than 100,000 people are following me? Why should I steal when I have branches of my organization in more than 40 countries worldwide? Why? When I'm a person who commands respect, a person who meets with the heads of state, a person who isn't lacking money. I think that anybody who can think for themselves understand that it doesn't make a lot of sense. If you want me to steal, then you should have asked me to do that when I was poor, when I was needy, when I had nothing, not now, when I have achieved so much. So I think that we will do more. I will continue to do what I'm doing. I will continue to preach the gospel. I will continue to tell people good word and spread joy and happiness to them. But whatever happens, even if this court case continues from now on, I want the whole world to know that if there is at least 2 people in this country that lived righteously, that live according to the law of to all laws, I want them to know that I am one of those righteous people. I want the whole people to know that I am not guilty of the crimes I am accused of. I haven't even seen the money they accuse me of laundering and scamming people out of. Anything else you want to say? Pastor Sunday, could we ask you to spare a few words for the anniversary of your church? Yes, our church has already been in function in Ukraine for more than 15 years, or rather, it's our 15th anniversary this year, and that's more than 2.5 million people that have gone in and out of the doors of our church. People who are our members and and come consistently to the church, these are all over. This is over 100,000 people, but this country is. Our members aren't only in Ukraine. Our churches have spread worldwide, and we have many people attending abroad too. And unfortunately, because we are a Protestant church and Protestantism is not very close to the mainstream of Christianity in Ukraine, many people are not receptive to it. But I think that if we travel the whole world, we'll understand that Protestantism is a normal denomination with a valid history. So to reject our church and call it a sect is kind of absurd, because the activities of our church have not been mirrored in other places on earth. However, if there is another church that has done all the things that our church has, then okay. We can understand why you'd accuse us or why you see us as a sect. Unfortunately, that's not the case. And on the other hand, I think that in the future, Ukrainians will be proud to have such a church within their country. All right, the journalist has some questions for you, Mr. Sunday. Can we ask some questions? Hello, you said that there are 2 righteous people in this country, and you're one of them. Who's the other righteous one? No, that was just a metaphor. Or a hyperbole. I'm saying that if there was only 2 righteous people in this country, I'd be one of them. So the Ministry of Internal Affairs, the government, is planning to take you to court because of false accusations against you, as you say it. Will you also sue them or investigate them for false accusations and for violating your constitutional rights and your human dignity? Right now, we are not pursuing that because we are sure that the criminal case against Sunday Adelaja will be closed and that no guilty verdict will be carried out. And therefore, we don't need to sue the government. Everybody will see the truth themselves. Pastors, please ask the questions to the people that are well versed in the sphere. Pastor Sunday, you said that your parishioners are the people who have suffered as a result of the Ponzi scheme, King's Capital. You said that you suffered as well. Does that mean that you invested some money in it? How much did you lose? I personally did not invest any money in it, and I always was warning my parishioners. You can ask any of them that I told them to make sure they had insurance or make sure they had guarantees before investing money in King's Capital or anywhere else. Pastor Sunday, you said that you supported the Barack Obama's presidency. However, after his elections, he reversed the ban on providing funding for clinics that carry out or participate in abortions. They also have passed several laws concerning gay parades, LGBT rights, and more.
Вчера нашему агентству посольства США сообщили, что в ближайшее время не ожидается приезда Барака Обамы, даже встречи с Виктором Ющенко. Можно ли это назвать
how do you justify your support of him when he has put non-Christian values above your Christian values? Also, the press release from the Embassy of God said that they invited Ukrainian politicians, such as the Ukrainian president and prime minister, to come to your anniversary, and also that you invited Obama to come to your anniversary. Is this true? Yes, we can invite who we want, that is our right, and we invited many heads of state and political activists and figurants in the countries of Ukraine, Ukraine, England, the U.S., and so on. When we're talking about Obama, it is true that he supports the laws allowing gay marriage and same-sex marriage, which I am against. He also supports abortions and the rights of women to choose whether they want to have their child or not, and I am against this as well. However, Obama is a person that supports everybody's freedoms of choice, and when you are talking about politicians, taking a mere 2 points out of his whole program is quite unfair. What else does he support? Obama, in his campaign, has spoken out against poverty and talked about how he can help the most poor and vulnerable of his population. Second of all, today Barack Obama is a person who is able to raise the image of the United States worldwide because he represents the minority of the United States. It is easier to accept him as the leader of the free world rather than if it had been a more conservative person representing the majority. Aggression towards minorities in the U.S. has really degraded the standard of American democracy and the way that other people in different countries look at it. Therefore, it is good that he has been able to rise to power, showing that the U.S. has progressed and that there is equal rights for people of different skin colors. So I do not support Obama because he's for gay rights or for abortion. I support him because of other things. I think that he is an upstanding person and that he is the best candidate, and he was the best candidate for the presidency for the United States in the last presidential race. I have never changed my position. I am against abortion. I am against gay marriage. However, you must look at a politician's whole program. Hello, this is from... Hello. Yes, the journalist over there can speak. You asked in English. Should I answer in English as well? He's asking about my bank in Nigeria. I'm laughing because I do not have a bank in Nigeria. I was invited to the director's board of a microfinancing bank. What is a microfinancing bank? It's a bank that usually works in the poorest countries of the world, known as third world country. They give out loans. Loans of about $5 or even up to $20. Because even though we in Ukraine often speak of our poverty, there are countries that have it even rougher. So those are the banks that are banks that the people where the majority of the population lives on less than $1 a day. Those are banks that the common people can actually benefit from. However, these banks usually aren't supported by the governments. They live off of donors of interested people. And so my friends who are opening this bank, they know that I am that I do so much social work and that I am against power and that I am against poverty. And so they invited me to the opening of this bank and invited me onto the director's board. Unfortunately, when it was translated by our media, they published something like Sunday became the director of a Nigerian bank. This is false. Being on the director's board board means more like being a counselor and attending meetings. And I attend that meeting regarding this microfinancing bank once a year. So I haven't founded or directed a bank. Don't worry about that. Maybe soon I will open a bank, but that's by God's grace. Okay, next question. The first question is to the lawyer, Andre. Have you denied the accusations and charges brought against Sunday Adelaja in court? Have you legally protested against it? And Sunday Adelaja, can you guarantee that you will stay in Ukraine as you have promised until the court proceedings are finished? No, we did not protest it in any way. This is the statement that I made. This criminal case opened against Pastor Sunday will never be in the court, and it will never be brought to a guilty verdict conclusion. This accusation has been made by the police of this country. And let me tell you, and we know it is false, therefore, as with this book that I have here, the Civil Codex of Ukraine, we will just continue to use our rights and do what we can until the court says not guilty. As for your second question, let me help Sunday and answer him a bit. You guys really want him to break some law, to break some agreement, and he does travel a lot. But no matter how long you wait, Pastor Sunday won't go abroad when he has promised not to go abroad. The court, as a security net, has had him sign a non-travel agreement, and now if he goes abroad for 1 day for a vacation, they will catch him at the border and say, look, Sunday was trying to run away. It won't happen. We will not violate anything because we are not the criminals here. Yes, and even though it's very uncomfortable for me because I constantly travel for work, and there's a symposium I was even invited to the other day, I will still stay here until I have cleared my good name. I will stay in Ukraine. Okay, from the Kyiv newspaper, how can you comment on the information from the Ministry of Internal Affairs about how even the head of the Ministry of Internal Affairs have said so, that there's a video recordings of when you were encouraging and agitating for King's Capital to your congregation, not warning them about investing in there, but actually telling them to invest them. Also, how do you react to the information that the King's Capital had many representatives of the Embassy of God working there, and that many regional pastors, and you are the senior pastor, so you are in charge of them, were also agitating for the for King's Capital. Yes, I've watched those videos, and the investigator himself said, aren't you talking about the building of a building? What does this have to do with the King's Capital? And another video is when I was answering the question of a lady about King's Capital. I was telling her, yes, I know some of the people there, however, you should not invest in it just because of that. You have to check a company before you invest there. You have to have a guarantee. Or you have to diversify your investments and not keep all of your eggs in one basket. That's what I was telling to her. I was not agitating for King's Capital. Don't you hear that yourself? I asked the Ministry of Internal Affairs, how do you call that agitation? So I don't know what they mean, but I told them, okay, every single of my sermons is on record. So let me bring you more cassettes, more CDs, where I show you where I am warning people about investing in King's Capital, and they do not accept those DVDs as part of the investigation. So they have the right to declare what they want, but the truth is what I have said. When you say that many representatives of the embassy of God work in King's capital, I've even heard things like all the cities where there's churches of the embassy of God is where there's offices of King's capital. First of all, I would like you to show me a Ukrainian city that does not have an embassy of God church. We have worked hard to spread out through the country, and we're in all cities by now. Second of all, this is King's capital works on the principle of a multi-level marketing company. What they do is that they go to a place that has a mass of people, that has a large population of people that regularly meet, and our church meets those criteria swimmingly. So they establish contact with one person from our church. They offer him stocks in the company or offer him a good investment in the company. And the person believes that, oh, yeah, this seems like a cool company, plus I could really make money off this. Then the person who has been convinced comes back to the church and tells his friends and his fellow believers about it. In our church, because we have principles of not cheating, of not committing adultery, of not lying, of not deceiving, the members of the church believe each other, and Safonov, who was the first person to get involved with King's capital, was believed by the other members of our church, and that is why so many of my parishioners were involved in this multi-level marketing scheme. It is not because I agitated for it. Mr. Adelaja, when last Sunday you were on the TV channel 1+1, they showed some video clips that clearly showed that said that you claimed that you sent some observers to the King's capital company. You say that you only knew one of the founders of the company and have no relation to the company. All right, then would you please explain, Mr. Sunday, what your observers were doing in King's capital and what influence they had on the actions of the company? All right, so there was the first person that got involved in King's capital, co-founded it, was Safonov, a parishioner of my church. So then I asked one of the leaders in my church, who was responsible for Safonov, to go to King's capital, or go to Safonov's office to be precise, and ask what's going on, because a lot of people in my church were investing there, and a lot of people were discussing it. When his leader went to confront him, he was not allowed in. The leader came back and reported it to me. We tried again. Again, he wasn't let in. Then finally, we went, then businessmen in the church and people who knew about financial know-how finally came in a group to the King's capital headquarters to find out what are they doing in this company. And after they found out what was going on, these members of our church who are entrepreneurs came back to me and said, Pastor Sunday, warn our people about this company, because even though it's popular in our church now, these people are working without a guarantee, they're working without insurance, they have put a lot of money on land, but what if the land doesn't sell? The company will collapse and there will be nothing to pay the people back with. And that is why we started warning the people about warning people about not investing without a guarantee, not investing without insurance. So King's capital had invested more than 40 million on real estate and land. Then there was a 2008 economic crisis, and all of it quickly devaluated. That is why the company collapsed. However, and that was exactly what we were warning the parishioners of. That's what I sent the observers to find out about. I have an important question I want to finish on. Please let the other journalists ask, okay? Mr. Sunday, this is my question. Has the number of parishioners coming to your church become less after this crisis, or has it become bigger? And to your lawyer, Mr. Andre, are you a parishioner of the Embassy of God? Well, some people did leave the Embassy of God, I'm sure of that, because of all the things that have happened. But more people have come than who has left. More people have left, and that is usually what happens in the time of a crisis. Because a lot of people who know me personally have come back, because once they heard the accusations against me, they said, hey, I haven't come to church for 5 years, but I know what type of person you are. This is ridiculous. We will stand by your side. We will fight with you. So yeah, the amount of people coming to church has actually increased. This is cult societies. Wait, let the lawyer answer the question, please. No, I have no relation to the Embassy of God Church. I am a person of a different faith, actually. That is my constitutional right, according to the Ukrainian constitution. And as I was introduced as the lawyer of Sunday Adelaja, that is who I am, and my single relation to Sunday Adelaja. So, from cult societies, today you are having a celebration in your church, and we keep talking about the secular and the worldly. I want to ask you, you are the senior pastor of the largest Protestant church in Europe. You are responsible for many spiritual Ukrainians. Despite the fact that we have so many legitimate religious denominations here in Ukraine. There's a person in Russia who is calling himself God, and he's opening his churches and organizations in Russia, Ukraine, and the US. So, as a spiritual person, as a pastor, what do you think about people who call themselves God and open destructive cult in Ukraine? I think that if a person calls himself God, that's already a glaring sign that he is heading a cult. We have one God that is Jesus, the Father, and the Holy Spirit. How do you know if an organization is a church or if it's a sect? If a church does not believe in the Apostles' Creed, and what is the Apostles' Creed? It's about the Immaculate Conception of the Virgin Mary, about the inerrancy of the Bible, about the fact that God took a human form in Jesus, belief in the Trinity, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and belief that salvation is through Jesus Christ. Any organization that says there's only God, there's no Jesus, or our leader is God, that is ridiculousness. That is nothing but lies. I think that has to be. I think those movements have to be seriously regulated in each country. Because there are so many destructive cults that have started with the exact same manipulations of doctrines. These denominations have nothing to do with Christian denominations. The mainstream Christian denominations are Catholics, the largest population, Protestants, and then Orthodox. And I am solidly against such phenomena and such appearances. Praise the Lord that you seem to be a professional in this question. However, many people cannot tell the difference between Protestant church, a cult, a sect, a Christian church, or anything else. Their idea is, if it doesn't look like my church, then it's a cult, it's a sect, it's destructive. So that's why I'm going to do more work in our society, so people know what is a church and what is a sect. Hello, I'm from a TV station, Sunday Adelaja. You often have said that the criminal case opened against you is a politically motivated thing that somebody has ordered against you. who do you think wants to take you down? Why do you think it's political? I think it's political because a person like me has gotten on the nerves on many people, because more than 2 million people have come through in and out of the doors of my church. And all over Ukraine, 10,000 people gather in my churches every Sunday. And when people are able to gather other people, that always makes politicians angry. So I can't say concretely who is benefiting from the fact that I am being taken to court, but that's just my guess. You guess that it's beneficial to who? I don't know who. Right now I'm holding a certificate of a transfer of a gift of an apartment. It's a gift of one.
За порадою пана Федора я не буду зараз називати прізвища, але чи відомі вам подібні випадки і за яких
from your church, from one of your daughter churches, giving apartments to another parishioner? According to this paper, she gave her fellow parishioner this apartment because her pastor encouraged her to. So, in your church, is this a common practice? And which one of the regional pastors have this practice of encouraging their parishioners to give real estate and etc.? I think that's ridiculous. I have the document though. Anyone can take a paper and write anything on it. However, to think that we are an organization that uses our authority to make people do this or do that, that is very ridiculous. Can you say which pastor even did this? No, as your lawyer said, I will be quiet about people's names. That's ridiculousness. We do not do things like that in our church. I think that it's in vain that you brought this document to a press conference, because that's kind of off topic. However, if the person who gave the apartment has had their rights violated, then we can discuss that. If the person who received the apartment has had their rights violated, we can discuss that. However, if none of the sides have had some human rights violations, then I want to understand what is your issue with this transfer. Yeah, if their rights have been violated, then we will do what we can to defend them. No, my question is, has the pastor asked other people to give people apartments and real estate like that in the name of the pastor? No, our church, I'm the bishop of this church, and do you think that our church is based on to give the apartment or to not give the apartment? No. The goal of our church is to raise the values of family in people. We want to rehabilitate alcoholics. We want to rehabilitate the drug addicts. This is news to me, that somebody gave an apartment to someone. And that is the right of every citizen to give anything they want to anyone they want. However, that's not our policy. Our policy is to change the world for the better. Okay, last question too. I have a question to Sunday. Could you tell us, please, does the Embassy of God help the people who invested in King's Capital and lost money? Is there any help for them? Of course, we have an anti-crisis committee in our church that works with all these people who have invested into the company. And not only into King's Capital, but also in some very respected Ukrainian banks or Ukrainian real estate companies and those companies have not given back their monies. They have some debts overdue. Their investments did not bring any return. And for some reason, those organizations close to the government are not being taken to court. But even so, About 300 people come every day that the Anti-Crisis Committee is open to ask for help, for financial help, moral support, and for loan issues and help. Parishioners that have gone through the Anti-Crisis Committee, some of them say that the Anti-Crisis Committee doesn't help at all. Well, you come to the Anti-Crisis Committee and you can tell if it works or not. Indeed, if you have any problems with us, the Anti-Crisis Committee is here for you. Thank you for coming.